In this video, I'm going to teach you how I save over $1,000 a month house hacking, and as an eBay and Amazon seller, how you can get into real estate investing and take control of your future. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Rake and Profit over rakeandprofit.com. Coming back to you with another video, and in this video, we're gonna be talking about house hacking. So I know a lot of you guys who are watching have been asking a lot of questions about real estate and investing, and I know a lot of you folks are selling on eBay and Amazon, and you're starting to make money, you're starting to build up your income, but you've realized that it's not only important to make more money, but in order to build your net worth, you also have to look at saving money and lowering expenses. And house hacking is great for this because last year, about a year ago, I was living in an apartment that was costing me $1,500 a month. So every single month, I had $1,500 paying for this apartment. So I wasn't building any equity. I wasn't building any appreciation in the property. It was just an expense. Now, there are some benefits to living in an apartment, right? There's less maintenance. If something breaks, you don't typically have to pay for it. You're not paying taxes. You're not stuck in the property. You don't have to typically mow the lawns and different things like that. A lot of times you don't even have to shovel the snow. So, you're just renting it, right? But again, you have that expense. And for me, it was $1,500 a month. So what is house hacking? So house hacking is a method to get into real estate where you purchase a multifamily property. So that could be a property that has at least two sides to it. So like a multifamily is could be a two-family, so it could have two families in it. It could have three, or it could have four, right? Once you go over four, you're typically getting into commercial. But house hacking is you live in one side and then you rent out the other. So you're essentially hacking your way in to a real estate property. Now, I want to talk about why I did this and some of the benefits and some things to consider. And then last but not least, I'm going to give you guys some advice for house hacking your first property and a couple things you need to consider as a reseller, because when you're self-employed, it does get a little more complicated. There are some things that you're going to want to know. Okay, so house hacking is getting into real estate, multifamily investing, investing in multifamily property, but living on one side and then renting out the other units, whether that's a two-family or a three or a four-family. So I personally purchased a two-family property. I moved into one side and I rented out the other. So the number one reason why I did this is to save money on living expenses. So like I said, I was paying $1,500 a month before to live in a property, and I wasn't really gaining any benefit from that. I had to pay for the rent each and every month. It was coming out of my pocket. I wasn't building any equity, right? Which is the difference between, like, think of it this way. So let's just say, how do I explain it? Say you buy a house. I bought my property for, I think it was like $235,000. So typically you have to put a loan down, a down payment down, and then you have a loan on it. So I think I put down 20%, so it's kind of hard to see, but I had a $170,000 loan. Each month, my tenant is helping to pay down that loan. So the difference between what the property is worth and what you owe on the loan, it's that spread, it's that equity. So when you go to sell the property down the road, you've got that equity, it's that value that you've built into it. And that's one of the best benefits of owning real estate is your tenants will pay down your mortgage for you. Now, when you're house hacking, you're not going to cash flow as much as if you had a property that you had rented out fully. So, actually 3 months after I purchased this property 9 months ago, I purchased another property, a multifamily, and it was a two-family, and I rented out both sides. So it was cash flowing much more, which is the difference between what you are bringing in versus what you are paying for the mortgage, taxes, and insurance. So that's a big benefit right here, saving on monthly living expenses. So instead of paying $1,500 a month towards an apartment where I was really receiving no financial benefit from other than just time saving and not having to pay for maintenance and taxes, I was saving some really good money because instead of paying $1,500 a month, My mortgage, taxes, and insurance came to $1,350, okay? So unit 1, I was living in, right? So it wasn't making any money, but unit 2, I rented out for $1,200. So if you minus $1,350 from $1,200, I only had a $150 liability. Now, don't forget, when you house hack or you invest in real estate, outside of just mortgage, taxes, and insurance, you're gonna have different things you're gonna have to cover, like maintenance, right? Things are gonna break, small little tiny things. You're also gonna have capital expenditures, which are really big things that are gonna go wrong every 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like a roof, like a water heater, a furnace, different things like that. And also, when you're house hacking, don't forget there's something called vacancy, right? Vacancy. So when people move out or they don't renew the lease, or maybe you even have to evict them, you're gonna have costs and expenses and things that go wrong. So instead of $1,500 a month, it was down to $150 plus the maintenance, capital expenditures, and you do wanna average in some costs for vacancy. So let's just say that came to, I don't know, around $500 a month, adding in the capital expenditures, the maintenance, so on and so forth. That's still a $1,000 spread. Now, what I actually ended up doing is I had a 2-bedroom and I was only living in one side. So I actually rented out one of the rooms for $600 to a friend of mine. So instead of it costing me $500, if you add $600, I was actually making about $100 a month house hacking a property, which is really, really cool. And you could do that as well. House hacking is great because you're living in that unit. You can learn from the inside. If you get into real estate investing and you're not living at that property, you're managing it from a distance. You don't really know what's going on. When you're there, when the landlord is there at the property, tenants are typically going to behave themselves a little better. You can get a feel for their behavior. Are they making a lot of noise? Are they destroying things? So it's a great way to learn real estate from the inside. It's also easier to manage because you're there. If you need to get into the property, or if there's any repairs that you have to schedule, or if there's anything that you have to manage, collecting rent, evictions, anything like that, serving notices, you're living at that property. So house hacking is great for that. Saving money on living expenses, learning from the inside. It's easier to manage. Cheaper financing is also another benefit as well, because when you go to get a loan, you'll typically be able to get better rates when you're living there, because the banks that are giving you the loans, they know that you're living there, you're gonna manage it better. Tenants typically aren't gonna be going as psycho maybe as they normally would be going if you didn't live there. So you can save money on interest rates, and there's different financing benefits as well. I already mentioned equity pay down, right? There are some tax benefits as well, although the tax benefits aren't as beneficial as they used to be. Once the standard deduction, some of these tax laws, I'm not exactly sure, but my father was telling me, he's a CPA, the tax benefits aren't as great as they used to be, but there are some tax benefits as well. Talk to your CPA about that. And then of course, appreciation is great. When I own an apartment, I'm just paying the rent, right? I don't get to enjoy any benefits of what if the market increases, right? If the market goes down, obviously I would benefit from that, but appreciation, taxes, and equity. So if you want to get into house hacking as a reseller, eBay seller, Amazon seller, there's a couple things that you're going to want to consider. Number one, proof of income. You're going to want to build a team, right? So a mortgage lender, you're going to want to get pre-qualified, which essentially the mortgage lender is going to come in, they're going to look at your finances, your tax returns, they're going to look at your bank statements, your credit score, different things of that nature, and they're gonna essentially approve you for a certain amount of money. The big thing as a reseller, you need proof of income for 2 years, okay? Proof of income 2 years. How do you show proof since you're not gonna have pay stubs and whatnot? It's gonna be your tax return. So one of the benefits of showing as much income as you can, if you're looking to get into real estate investing, especially house hacking, is to make sure you show plenty of income. A lot of people, they'll just collect cash, or they'll do everything outside the legal way, and they won't show the income to save on taxes, but what they're really doing is they're screwing themselves over when they want to go get a property, because you need to show income. There's certain standards and rules that these banks and lenders are going to be looking for in terms of your income when it comes to pre-qualifying for a property. So make sure you get your income in line, your credit. Make sure you do some research on how to improve your credit. That's really important. And start to build up a team, a real estate agent to start looking at properties, to get access to the MLS. Mentors. This is one of the biggest things you can do when preparing is have mentors, either through educating yourself through books. I love biggerpockets.com. That's a great website. They have tons of books and resources as well. Local meetups, right? So if you just look up your town and look up real estate local meetups, there's a lot of people that you can meet. There's a lot of mistakes you can avoid. There's a lot of tips and tricks that you can gain from learning and modeling other people who have already been on that path. Obviously, start building relationships with contractors and handymen. So if you are looking at a property and you're trying to get into a property to house hack, you'll have an idea of what repairs, what's wrong, what you need to fix, how much money you're gonna have to put into it. So that's probably my best advice. Build a team, get your finances in line, and educate yourself. So hopefully this helped educate you in terms of house hacking and why I did it. Right now I have 2 properties. One property is a 2-family that I'm house hacking, and I'm making about $100 a month, cash flow. My roommate is gonna be moving out, so I'll be back down to paying $500 a month, but still, that's a $1,000 gain. And then I have a second property that I purchased about 3 months ago, which is cash flowing about anywhere from like $600 to $700 a month, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on, again, the repairs, maintenance, capital expenditures. But that's where I stand right now. I've been loving it. I've been enjoying it. There obviously has been some, issues and trials and tribulations of working with other people and learning how to sign leases and repairs. And one of my properties, the tenants are kind of already starting to fight with each other. So that's an interesting challenge. And I've had one of my tenants, when I first purchased my first property, like drive their car all over the lawn and they tore it all up and then they had to pay for it. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and it's not all beautiful and amazing. But again, those benefits of equity pay down, tax benefits, appreciation, and saving on that killer monthly expense is definitely a benefit. So if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.